MMA Boxing Talk here. This is a post-fight video for AJ McKee versus Campos. It took place last night. It was the beginning of round 2 in the Bellator Grand Prix at featherweight. The tournament started with 16 guys. Now they're down to 8 after last night. There's 7 guys remaining. In January, February, and March, we're going to get the rest of round 2. One fight in each month. But last night, AJ McKee looked spectacular, submits Campos in round 3. I believe it was a minute into round 3. Absolutely phenomenal performance by AJ McKee. He did, get hit a little bit. He looked tired at certain points. But what an exciting fighter! What an amazing young prospect in MMA. If you hadn't watched my prediction video for this fight, I mentioned in there that ESPN came out with a list, top 25 MMA fighters under the age of 25, and AJ McKee was number 1 on that list, ahead of Sean O'Malley, Edmund Shavaznian. This kid's amazing. I love the way he fights. I love that he's in this tournament, and now we're gonna see what he's really made of. He's gonna get tested, and he did get tested in this fight, but he passed with flying colors. And yes, he's a little bit reckless, but the dude has so much ability and confidence, and he flows. And when you're talking about style-wise, he kind of reminds me of a mixture of John Jones and Tony Ferguson. And not to say he's going to be as good as those fighters, who knows? But he has a lot of similarities in the way he looks in the cage to those two guys. He's fearless in there like a Tony Ferguson. He's amazing off his back. He's not scared to go in any position. He's reckless like a Tony Ferguson in a sense. And John Jones was very reckless when he first came, on the scene. So what a phenomenal performance by AJ McKee. He starts out with a flying knee, so much confidence, and I think within a minute he already had Campos's back. He almost, he had a neck crank. It wasn't underneath the chin, but it would have been definitely painful. And I think the reason why too McKee was a little bit tired, especially in the second round, I think he wasted a lot of his energy and gassed his arms out going for submissions and things like that, which is all to say he was totally in control of the fight. Round 1 was a 10-8 round. Round 2, I think he dropped Campos, and he still won that second round. And then in the third round, that armbar. I mean, he's so phenomenal in transitions. He's good on the feet. He's got dog in him. He gets good takedowns. He's a very accomplished wrestler. That's his original base. Maybe not original base, because his old man was probably teaching him all the aspects of MMA and all the disciplines at a young age. But wrestling was what he, I think, first competed in, and he was a state champion wrestler in high school. So this guy's just bred for this. Like I said in my previous video, his old man was a solid fighter, very underrated. Record of 30-6. He fought for 20 years, and he's a perfect coach and training partner for his son. Now, AJ McKee, what's next for him? Well, what's very interesting is on his side of the bracket, it's a very good fight between Borics and Darrion Caldwell, and that takes place, I believe, at the end of January. So, AJ McKee's going to fight the winner of that. Personally, I would like to see Borics get past Caldwell. I'd love to see Borics and AJ McKee, two of the young prospects in that tournament. Borics has looked really good. He's a dangerous striker. I got to watch more tape on him to find out really what he's all about. I haven't watched all his fights. Now, this tournament's great. $100 million, $1 million prize. On the other side of the bracket, of course, you have Patricio Pitbull. He's a double champ at Bellator, 145 and 155 pound champ. I'd love to see a matchup with him and AJ McKee in the finals. That would be incredible. I do believe Pitbull will get to the finals. He had a tough fight in the first round against Juan Archuleta, who was a very good fighter. Training partner TJ Dillashaw, very underrated fighter. And Juan Archuleta, he really tested and pushed excuse me, and he really pushed Pitbull in their first fight in round 1 of the tournament. And Pitbull was smart to say, you know what, I'm gonna fight in March, because the selection show was so cool. How after round 1, the 8 fighters got to pick and choose who and when they wanted to fight, deciding on a number they picked. AJ McKee picked the first number. He had the number 1, so he picked first. With nobody on the bracket, he could fight December, January, February, March. He picked January because, or December, and this was back in September. Now, he knew he could have a quick turnaround because he was just coming off the quickest Bellator knockout when he beat Georgie in round 1 with an 8-second TKO. Phenomenal. So AJ was like, you know what, I'm going to get right back in there a couple months later. We just saw that on Saturday. He passed with flying colors, looked phenomenal against a tough, gritty opponent like Campos, who's underrated. So I can't wait for how this tournament goes. What's interesting though is AJ picked that first slot, and everyone else who had the opportunity to face him, they didn't want to face him. they avoided him in the selection process, and for good reason. Why do you want to face a guy like that and have a chance to be eliminated out of the tournament? You want to go as far as you can in the tournament. And what's very interesting is on the weigh-in podcast with Josh Thompson and Big John McCarthy. John McCarthy interviewed all the fighters, I believe the 8 fighters, and all of them said after Pitbull, they have AJ McKee number 2. All the fighters, I think off camera, agreed to John McCarthy that they all have AJ number 2. So they know, and it showed that, because in the selection show, none of them wanted a piece of AJ. Very interesting stuff. This guy has a lot of potential. I think I'd like to see him, pull the reins in a little bit when it comes to the reckless stuff, but at the same time, he's going to learn. I think he's going to learn from this fight, because he did have some moments where, he went for a crazy spinning side kick or whatever, and he missed, and he totally slipped, and Campos, got on top of him and was ground and pounding a bit. So, things like that, you got to tighten things up a little bit, but the guy has so much potential. I know I'm rambling on here, but I'm really impressed with this guy. He's my number 1 prospect in all of MMA. I'd love to see someday possibly him fighting in the UFC. I don't know if that's going to happen though, because this is a guy that made his UFC debut in Bellator, he made his UFC debut in Bellator. That's a line for you guys. No, he made his MMA debut, his pro debut in Bellator. And that says a lot, because, you can't count on too many hands how many guys have made their MMA pro debut in an organization like Bellator or the UFC. Usually you come up on the local circuits and you build and you get notoriety and things like that. But this guy was such an amazing amateur at a very young age, and Scott Coker from Bellator noticed that and signed him up. And he's 16-0 in Bellator, and I think he has the second most wins in Bellator history after Pitbull, who has 18, and he's got 16, tied with Michael Chandler. So I mean, this guy's doing some special things. Can't wait for his next fight, whether it's Borics or Caldwell. That'll be another step up. He'll have an opportunity to show more of his abilities and his arsenal, but the guy can do it all, and I'm super high on this kid. Let me know what you guys think. I know not everyone follows Bellator. I've had the app since day 1, or I don't know about day 1, but since the Rory McDonald versus Gegard Mousasi fight. So it's been over a year I've had the app, and the eye tests, they don't lie, and there's a lot of talent. My eye test doesn't lie, because I pride myself on seeing talent coming up at a young age and seeing them flourish, and AJ McKee is on the top of my list, and very impressed with him. Let me know what you guys think. That's it for this one. If you like the video, give a like, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think of this tournament, AJ McKee, his performance. That's it for this one. Peace.